This does the trick. So, I like Die Another Day. Yeah, I know. So I'm not saying Die Another Day is one of the best Bond films, like one of these. Or even a good one like these. Really, I'm probably making this video to try and explain to myself, why do I even like this movie? Okay, so let's begin. To start off with, this film was directed by Lee Tamahari. It's produced by Michael Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. Neil Purvis and Robert Wade wrote the script. They got a sole credit on this film. They worked on the previous film, The World Is Not Enough, and they've been credited on every Bond film since The World Is Not Enough to present. This is the only sole credit for Neil Purvis and Robert Wade. David Arnold deserves his own shout out. He has added so much to the franchise, and we need him back. Just bring him back, please. The film was a huge box office success. It had been the most successful James Bond film to that point, so financially it was all good. But reviews were mixed to average, we'll say. Although when I saw it, now bear in mind I was young, the buzz was out there for this movie. And Halle Berry was on the cover of every magazine, poster. People knew about it and wanted to see this movie. People talked about this movie. It was the family movie, which is strange now with the current Bond era we're in. And I won't lie, I probably saw it about 10 times when it first came out. So where to start? Well, anyone who knows the Bond series knows that it's in a constant state of expansion, followed by a strong retreat. The team behind the series are in a constant race to outdo their competition and themselves. So that's how you go from this to this and peak with this. However, like an elastic, when the Bond series overexpands, it violently contracts. So the set piece of this film ends up being this. The Bond series has always gone too far before it goes back to its Fleming roots, and Die Another Day is the full expression of the series going way too far. And not only that, Die Another Day was the 40th anniversary of the Bond series, where Skyfall would do occasional references for the 50th anniversary. No Bond film goes unreferenced in Die Another Day. And so, just like economies go boom and bust, Die Another Day represents the cyclical nature of the Bond series. Every Moonraker is followed by a For Your Eyes Only. Every You Only Live Twice has its On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Finally, without Die Another Day, it's hard to say we'd have ever gotten Casino Royale, the current era of Bond that we're still in. But you're probably going, yes, Alan, it's nice to make these observations, but none of these things actually make it an enjoyable movie. So that's where this story takes a little bit of a twist. The year is 2002. Die Another Day is the 40th Bond anniversary. I'd just turned 9 years old. I accidentally saw The World Is Not Enough when I was 6. In those 3 years, I turned into a full-on Bond fan. At that age, Bond was a completely unknown world. He wore suits like adults do, not capes. They fought over a briefcase, not a magic crystal. So at 9 years old, when I sat down to watch this film, it was 100% a real story to me. The stakes were high. And maybe, like Moonraker was supposed to tap into the Star Wars fans, I was the ideal audience back then. Maybe the producers just didn't know it. Unlike Moonraker, which starts big, Die Another Day sort of struggles to get into that Moonraker style. It actually goes the opposite direction. I remember my mind being blown by this when I was 9 years old. And it still works. North Korea, hovercrafts, Bond gets tortured. Back then I didn't know what was happening during this. Now I don't know what's happening with the music. Daniel Kleinman's titles are great for the series. This was hugely inventive to inject the story through the titles and the music sequences. The first hour is compelling. Surfing, he gets tortured, he goes rogue. He didn't always do that back then. Swims to Hong Kong, ends up in Cuba, has a sword fight in London, shoots up a clinic. Yes, it's not grounded, but it's Fleming. Purvis and Wade are clearly Fleming fans. They've written the series for over 20 years. The melting pot nature of screenwriting makes it hard to tell, But these guys clearly know what makes a good Flemingism. Anytime you hear them speak, there's a clear knowledge and love for the Fleming novels. For example, I love this reference. And then he goes undercover as an ornithologist. God, I hope they actually came up with that, or I'm going to look like such an idiot. The film holds itself together right up until the halfway point, and then this happens. And this. That. But actually, this is great. These are interesting. We might see something like them in November. Please don't delay. Don't delay. This is just crazy. And obviously they just thought it wouldn't be a Bond film without a giant laser. Now, while watching this film, it's clear they got caught up in the Bond formula. Those involved felt that there was things they had to do. So the second half of this movie desperately crams in all those traditional Bond elements. We need a tuxedo, a car chase, make it an Aston Martin, a giant laser, villainous lair. He needs to drink a martini. It's all there. So an easy cop-out would be, I like the first half of this film, but that's not true. Nostalgia is a powerful thing. I hear from a lot of moviegoers who are my age, they remember seeing this with their family, especially girls. They remember seeing it with their dads, and they still love it. And maybe that's what Lee Tamahari was trying to do. Die Another Day starts out as a very Fleming style story. Bond gets tortured, exotic locations, sexy things happen, and then it morphs into something else. It goes all Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever style. And maybe that's the point. This is a Bond movie for every age. Start gritty, end big. It boldly says this is Bond for all 40 years. From underwater to outer space, from Russia with Love to Moonraker. The longer I've been a fan of this series, the more I've realised there's no such thing as the perfect Bond film. A lot of people love Casino Royale. Others think Man with the Golden Gun is the best. Die Another Day's biggest problem is what makes it interesting. Dare I say, outlandishly enjoyable. I believe if the Fleming archetype of James Bond remains intact, very little else to this series is sacred. Time has already proven it. There are movies where he doesn't wear a tuxedo, doesn't say Bond James Bond, and Aston Martin is interchangeable with a Lotus or BMW. The locations are always changing, the ladies are rarely the same. Even the leading man playing Bond isn't sacred. So what I'm getting at is, Die Another Day fell down because it thought the past was sacred. However, Bond has always changed with the times. But that's what makes this film an interesting piece in nearly 60 years of films. It's a film restricted by pastiche. It couldn't get over that it started in one place, but was forced to live in another. But that's why I love it. We're in the Craig era now, which I actually prefer. But Brosnan's swan song to Bond, it's crazy, it's big, it's bold. They really went for it. It's a funny sign of the era which made the series violently regroup for 2006. And the beauty of being a Bond fan is, if you don't agree with me, you have 24 other films to enjoy. That's assuming this one comes out in November. I hope I don't get too much grief over that opinion. Oh yeah, if this video wasn't a complete waste of your time, give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more Bond content. I'm going to be discussing a Christopher Nolan film that you've all voted on. I was going to review Tenet, but it looks like that's not coming out anytime soon, unfortunately. However, I'm going to keep making videos and hopefully you keep watching. Thanks for watching.